How do Section 8 rent increases work? If you are curious about how rent increases work under the Section 8 program, you are in the right place. Understanding this can help you as a beginner in real estate investing and when building your real estate portfolio. First, let's talk about the basics. Rent increases under Section 8 are not just about what the market says. They follow specific rules to keep housing affordable for tenants while ensuring landlords receive fair returns. The local public housing agency sets a payment standard based on local market rents for similar unassisted units. When a landlord wants to raise the rent, they must submit a request to the public housing agency. The new rent must be reasonable compared to similar units in the area. The agency will conduct a rent reasonableness test, looking at factors like location, size, quality, and amenities. This ensures that the proposed rent aligns with what others are charging for comparable units. Now, let's break down the approval process. If a landlord requests a rent increase, the public housing agency reviews it to make sure it complies with program rules. The increase cannot exceed the maximum allowed by the Department of Housing and Urban Development or local guidelines. If a landlord disagrees with the agency's determination, they can provide information about comparable units for reconsideration. For properties under project-based Section 8, annual rent increases often relate to an operating cost adjustment factor. This factor accounts for changes in operating expenses like insurance premiums and property taxes. The Department of Housing and Urban Development publishes this factor yearly, which limits how much rent can increase each year. As a real estate investor, it is important to keep in mind that rent increases under Section 8 are typically slower and more regulated than in the open market. This means you should plan for more structured rent growth. Understanding local payment standards and how the public housing agency calculates tenant contributions is essential for setting initial rents and planning future increases. Maintaining your units in good condition and providing amenities similar to those in comparable market units can help justify rent increases during reviews. Also, keep an eye on announcements from the Department of Housing and Urban Development about the operating cost adjustment factor and other regulatory changes. This will help you stay compliant and optimize your income. Since tenant rent shares are based on income, approved rent increases do not directly raise tenant payments. Instead, the housing assistance payments cover the difference, ensuring affordability for tenants while allowing landlords reasonable rent adjustments. In summary, Section 8 rent increases are controlled through payment standards, tenant income calculations, rent reasonableness tests, and adjustment factors set by the Department of Housing and Urban Development. For real estate investors, this means that while rent growth under Section 8 can be predictable, it requires following specific procedures and market comparisons to secure approval.